Hi, I'm Jim Pankowitz. This is Darrell Walker. We're here today at Walker's Coffee, and we're going to talk about faith, prayer, and the next life. So, do you want to jump in? And you told me that you've been thinking about it. Do you want to jump in and say anything, or shall we just start with some things to talk about?
No, we can start.
Okay.
I don't know.
Well, talk to me about your faith and where did it come from, and what does it mean to you, and how important is it, and why is it important?
My faith is everything to me. I was raised in a Christian home. I accepted the Lord when I was 5 years old. Can you remember it? Yeah, I remember the church I was in. I can remember just everything kind of about it. I also did it again, a young kid. As a child, you're like, I want to make sure, one of those kind of things. So when I was 12 also, so I'm in a different church. So but my whole life I was raised in a Christian home. My parents we went to church every Sunday morning, and I have my 2 sisters, and we just, Sunday morning, that's what we did. We went to church. And afterwards when I was growing up, originally I was excited about the chocolate milk and the chocolate donuts after service.
I used to pray for chocolate cake. I'm serious.
Right? Yeah.
I really did.
Yeah. When you're a young kid, you take those memories and you hang on to them. And that was when I was back then. It was like I get my chocolate milk and my maple bar or my donuts. Afterwards, we always stopped by because we were usually rushing to get out of the house to get to church. It was on the weekends, and we play a lot of sports, and we're really busy during the week. So even though I went to a one on Wednesday evenings, which was fun and games, but then also memorizing scripture, getting into the word a little bit at a young age. So I could sing every children's song along, the Christian music all the time, growing up, and even now with my own family, my own daughters. So yeah, that's when it started when I was young. My parents, just good examples. I was pretty fortunate, pretty blessed to be able to be raised in a Christian home. And
yeah, for sure.
There was no smoking or drinking or swearing. It was just, that's how it was. That's the only thing I knew, right? But yeah, that's when it started for me.
When you say that faith is important, or when one says, what do you have faith in?
Yeah, that's good.
What do you trust in?
Yeah. I find I would say in God, in hope. He created us, right? Like, I don't see how you couldn't have faith in something. It's either in everything from nothing or created, right? I think about that often. As a teacher also, I have kids who don't even think about that. And I was one that, what is my purpose? Like I was always asking myself that, right? My dad would say, work hard, be a good example. That's why I became a teacher. Because I had some amazing teachers and examples in my life. But I think faith in God, the person who created me, my purpose. I'm here to build relationships, love people, connect and serve. But ultimately, I feel like we all have to believe in something. Like if you go about life having nothing to live for, I couldn't imagine life without God, without my faith.
Without being grounded.
Hope, yeah. I mean, right? We all know the difference between good and bad, but there's a conscience in there, right? Why is good good and why is bad bad? Who said that was bad? It's just our nature as humans, right?
I want to talk about prayer too, but for me, it's a lot the same in that my faith grounds me, whether I'm talking about it or not.
Good.
Whether if I know you, if I've known you for 20 years and we've never talked about it, it still grounds me. It's still at my core.
Right.
It's still very much at the center of me. And I do remember being about the same age that you're talking about.
Yeah.
Consciously starting to make a choice. There wasn't a formal ceremony till we were sixth graders. But I do remember making a conscious choice, but I still do make a conscious choice.
Right. Every day?
Yeah, every day. And I say what I call affirmational prayers.
Yeah.
Many times during the day. And it starts with, I'm a created being. I'm a beloved child of an all-loving God.
Love it.
Number one. Yeah. Heart is full of hope and gratitude. Yeah. And I go through and they have evolved through the years. I want to add something that made me feel like I need to work on.
Yeah.
Or work on being better at, work on becoming. But it still always starts at that point. That's where it is. Yeah, where it is and what it is. Yeah. It's at the center of me, and like I was telling you about Kathleen, she said I heard this loud and clear because I do it. She said, I talk out loud in the car. So I go around a lot. She said, I'm praying out loud sometimes, and I said,
for sure.
So am I. And I thought we got to talk some more.
Yeah. Yeah, I pray out loud every day, multiple times a day, for all sorts of things. Right?
Yeah. Where are you when you do?
Oh man, oftentimes in my car, I'm in bed. Sometimes last night, my family's sitting around the fireplace, we're watching a little Christmas movie, and just, thank you, Lord. Like, you kidding me? Yeah, exactly. It was like,
I am so grateful.
Exactly. That's exactly right. And coming off of Thanksgiving, just a year or two ago, it's like, yeah, going to school, being a teacher, it's my everyday right now, along with being a dad and coach, but going to school and I'm showing up sometimes, I'm just like on my way, putting Christian music on and trying to get in that mindset, right? To be positive and yeah, I'm just praising, just worshiping and just saying, hey, thank you. Yeah, exactly.
Giving thanks.
Being thankful. Yeah, and that attitude, it changes. If you wake up tired, you wake up, I don't feel good, my body aches or something. You start being thankful and thanking God for what you do have and the little things and how blessed we are. And all of a sudden your attitude changes and you start to exactly calm down a little bit, and then you show up at school and here comes the chaos, here comes the craziness, but I have to be constant, I have to be steady. And my students oftentimes say that, like, you're just the same every day. And it's like, it starts with a smile. So I tell them right on my board, I'm like, it starts with a smile. That's all it takes, the impact, I know I'm making an impact, just like the teachers before me, you made an impact.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. I still get pumped, Mr. P, into the greeting. I mean, I'll never forget just the genuineness in your tone, in your demeanor, and how you were serious about it. You were passionate about it, and that was just like, sitting there back in the day, you know, I was Mr. Cool Guy, senior. I think I even had you as a junior, but
You did.
I was starting quarterback and starting point guard. I'd come into your class and it didn't matter who you were, it didn't matter anything, you treated everyone the same, you were, you know, and I loved being in that class. I loved a lot of my teachers, you know, my time in high school, and I can even think back in the middle school, but, you know, those classes where you just felt human, you treated everyone with respect and like you loved them, you loved your job. Yeah. And that's what I try to do every single day, right? Like I just try to be a witness, be an example for Christ, and I have to do that with my actions, not so much my words in the public school.
In a public school,
It's
that's what you're doing now. Yeah.
Exactly.
I don't ever have to say it. I don't ever have to say anything about God, anything about Christ, anything about faith. Just do it.
Yeah, the kid asked me, Mr. Walker, are you a Christian? And I said, yes, I am. Oh, and, you know, we just started rattling off things in class the other day, and I just wanted to make sure I, you know, was cool, calm, and a lot of stuff he was saying, I'm just like, oh, you know, everyone, sometimes the worst examples of Christians or someone in his life who, oh, my dad or my grandma was raised Christian, and she's, you know, so harsh, and like, so that was his example, you know, and it's like, that's kind of a bummer, so I want to make sure I'm not that way.
Yeah, that way.
Yeah, exactly. I want to be an example. That's the saying, if use words, or no, you can't use words, be an example of the gospel, and you can't use words, or it's powerful, be an example.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say that, back to the prayer thing, oftentimes it's in my car, oftentimes it's, you know, I pray for my daughters out loud before they get out of the car to go to a sporting event or into a practice. Hey, Lord, protect them. Thank you for them. The able body that they're going to be, you know, using to exercise, but most importantly, I tell them every single time, you know, you be a light, like shine bright, be the brightest light, salt the earth, whatever you gotta do, like you're the brightest, you know. And oftentimes I tell my middle child, because she's kind of quieter, I said the loudest person in the gym, communication-wise, is usually the best player. I said communication is the most important thing when it comes to sports and athletics. And I know, Dad, I know. It's like, okay, not just words, you gotta show it. So she does, for sure, but I just make sure that, you know, it starts with a smile.
Indeed it does. When you pray, what do you visualize? Do you visualize somebody you're praying to?
That's a great question. You know, no, I don't. I've always treated prayer and God like, you know, like Jesus sitting right next to me in the car. Like, he's right there with me all the time. So, you know, you never know who's watching you. It could be anyone, but God's always there. And when you have that mentality, you have that way of thinking, it helps. You know, and sometimes you forget that for sure, and you respond or react out of anger or just, you know, it's being an athlete too, and being pretty competitive. It's sometimes you get that, I'm gonna get him back, you know, or I'm gonna this, or I'm gonna that, and you're like, oh, hang on a second, the big picture here, you know. So yeah, I don't know if I picture anything other than just, you know, just like you're sitting right next to me right now. That's how so is he. So when I talk, I say, thank you, Lord. You know, I don't know if I'm looking, thank you, Lord, like he's actually in the pastor's seat with me, but oftentimes it's out of gratefulness. Not, can I have this, and thank you for that, or, you know, bless me in this area, or pray my daughter wins today. You know, it's never that. You know, his will be done, but a lot of times I'm praying for people in my life. If someone comes in my head, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna pray for them right now. Or my barista, someone's having a rough day, or I'm not feeling good, or something. You can say a quick prayer, and even if it's just a thought, He knows our thoughts, right? So I don't have to say it out loud, but.
Do you pray to dead family members?
I do not. No.
You visualize them, maybe is a better way of saying it.
Yeah, my grandfather, who was one of my best friends, he passed away about a year. It's been a little over a year now, and I had lunch with him twice a week, and he'd come to the espresso shop. I'd have him do little odds and ends jobs and stuff for me at the house or here at the shop. And I just thought about him the other day, and I was like, man, I remember some of those good times, But he was a Christian. He died, and I know I'll get to see him again someday, right? And get to give him a hug, and we'll both be able-bodied. I just picture us both going for a run together or something, or playing basketball. I used to shoot the old school way with a little step in front, a little set shot, and he would make it every single time. He was a sharpshooter, but that's back in the day. That's how they stepped into their shots with one step. He's still, even into his 80s, can get that ball up there. And, I picture us playing him someday, maybe up there, or down here, heaven on earth. I don't know.
We've started to answer another line of conversation brought up. What do you think the next life is like? Obviously, you think there is one. What's it like? And sounds like yes to the question. We see people you know.
Yeah, I've thought about that a little bit. He says you can't. I believe God says you can't fathom how amazing it's going to be. You can't picture but if I tried, I would say, it's no more sin, and everyone is heaven on, like heaven. What is heaven going to be like? Like, I feel like everyone's going to be the best version of themselves, maybe. I don't know if age is going to really matter, but I don't know. I've thought about it. Is it just heaven come down here and everyone's, can you imagine everyone getting along and everyone just life being perfect? There's such a thing, like, I don't know. You can't fathom it, you can't picture it, you can't, that's what he says. He says it's going to be greater than anything you can imagine, so what is that like?
Just recently, like in the last few weeks, I've thought about the next life a lot.
Yeah.
My dad died when I was 16, very suddenly during the night.
Yeah.
So, it gives you, it brings you home.
For sure.
In a big way. And so that got me thinking about it at a young age. And
Yeah.
I would have anyway, but that definitely got me thinking about it a lot. And, where is he? And will we see him again? And what will that be like? And I definitely believe that we will see each other. But I really started to look at it, just started to think of it a little differently. Just the last few weeks I started.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I started to think, okay, what if this is pre-life and the next life is life? This is practice.
Yeah.
I'm getting ready for the next life. This is pre-life.
Yeah, no, you're right. So
it's small. It's
a very small amount.
Yeah, and I'm certainly familiar with that Bible passage and have thought that for a long time. But it's more than I can comprehend.
Right.
More than I can begin to understand.
Yeah.
An example I've used before is when our oldest son was born. It was a very long labor and delivery.
Yeah.
It was a long one.
Yeah.
And when you're born, the nurses rate the babies on this scale, NAPCAR score.
Right.
Skin tone, skin color, muscle tone, cry, breathing, heartbeat. Yeah. 2 points for each one, 10's the perfect score. He was 2. The only thing he
Gosh.
had was heartbeat. No breathing, no crying,
Wow.
no color, just like a limp rubber chicken.
Oh man.
Yeah, and so it was scary.
Very.
He's 42 now.
Well, yeah, there you go.
And, but I'm, you know, I've thought about the next life in terms of him, you know, when he was born. I think, okay, if I could talk to him as his dad standing there, I couldn't understand him.
Right.
If I said, I know you're used to what you're doing. I know you're used to being in the womb. That's the only thing you know.
Yeah.
That's security.
Right.
And now you're coming out into something you cannot begin to comprehend what's coming.
Right.
Who's here? Who loves you already? Who will love you? Oh my gosh. So that is how I often have visualized the next life.
Yeah.
I'm going to be born.
So true. That 9 months in the womb, is nothing compared to the 80 years.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
The 90 years or whatever.
So like I said, just these last weeks, I think I'm in pre-life, and so let's say I live 80 years.
Yeah.
I don't aspire to live 110 years or anything like that.
Right.
I'd like to live some more years.
Yeah.
But what's coming is more than I can comprehend, and I do expect to see people that I know, and I expect to be able to communicate with them. And I don't know, I don't have any idea about this. I just go back and forth. Am I being reunited with my body or not? I don't even know if it'll matter.
Yeah.
It'll be what it is.
No, it's true.
I don't know.
I watched a health video. My daughter's teacher showed one of it's a birth in the womb, and it's this hour. It was an hour of just everything from when start to when the baby's born. And I was just like, it was the coolest video because it made it seem like it took forever, right? And like all this stuff happening inside the womb that whole entire time, and you can hear actually voices outside, like, who's that? Like speaking, you know. So when they come out, they know their mom and their dad is there. They hear those voices and the people talking and their siblings. Like that's why there'll be comfort when they come out. You know, you hold a baby. Like 1 minute she's crying with someone, and the next minute it's like, oh, here's a kind of a familiar voice, maybe a sound, right? And
A comforting voice.
comforting voice, yeah. But the video that her health teacher had them watch, they just sent it to the parents first. Hey, take a look at this. If you don't want to watch this, that's totally fine. You just want to put it out there, you know. And it was one of the best videos I've ever seen. I was just I watched it from beginning to end, like intently. And I'm a health teacher too, so I was like, this is pretty cool. Like life inside that womb is life, like it's legit. So yeah, it just reminded me of that, just how precious, right, it is, and this time it is, and like a grain of sand on the beach. Like that's all it is compared to what's coming. That's what I live. So I love that.
I don't remember the name of the book, but there was a book written years ago, 25 years ago, 30 years ago, about people who had near-death experiences.
Oh.
It was all interviews with these people I met. They all said, I saw people were welcoming me. People I knew were welcoming me.
Yeah.
And some of them said, I didn't want to come back.
Yeah,
I want to come back here.
Right.
You know, I gotta find that book. But I hope that's true. I mean, I hope.
Me too.
Yeah, I hope it's, wow, this is so exciting. This is so incredible. Like, let's do it. Let's do it. Do you think we come back to life again? Do you think you come back to life again?
As like a dog or a cat. No, I'm just kidding.
As another person?
Yeah. Oh. I don't, but the thought is interesting to me. Come back and do you remember the person you were before? Can you be better? Like that would be kind of cool. Yeah, I don't, but thinking about that would be kind of cool. That'd be if I was given that opportunity. I'm trying to think like if I came back as myself again, or I don't know. Interesting to think about.
Somebody else I had this conversation with informally recorded, just was spontaneous, said, "Oh, I'm sure that we come back again." She said, I believe I've been here before.
Wow.
Yeah, she said, "I think you get to choose." And I thought, boy, that's an interesting perspective. I didn't have, and I'm not arguing, but I just hadn't had that perspective
It
before.
reminds me of that movie with the dog. Have you seen the dog? It's like 5 different dogs, but
No.
he dies and comes back. Oh, it's the most amazing movie. It's incredible. It's sad, but there's also really good times too. It's a very emotional movie, like highs and lows. But what is it? It's a dog's life or something. But yeah, it's how the dog comes back and helps its owner in different ways, shapes and forms. Like I think one time he's a police dog or a security dog, and he comes back as a little girl's. Yeah, it's awesome, but it's like comes back in different. Wakes up and now he's in a different body and has a different purpose. And just, yeah, you have to check it out. I'll look to see what the name
I'd
of
be
it is.
curious to see it. Yeah.
It's a good movie. It's really good. I enjoyed it. That's what it reminds me of.
Yeah. How would you explain? Let's say you were talking to someone who just said, "I need evidence for everything."
Yeah.
How would you explain faith to that?
The best way I know how. I've heard this analogy before many times, but it's like if I open up a children's book and it's got pictures and colors and pages, it's got words on it, periods and exclamation points and quotations, and there's numbers on the bottom of the page, right? And when you flip it, there's more words and pictures, and there's a cover, and it's all comes together and makes the story. It's perfect. Page 1 all the way to page 50 or 200 or whatever. And on every single page, there's hundreds, if not thousands of letters, right? Coming together perfectly to form those words. So it'd be crazy to think that just happened. Right? So I'm like, all the colors, all the, it's the book of, it's a storybook. So if it were just all those letters and colors and words and pictures were to fall from the sky and just land perfectly together and form a perfect story, I can imagine that ever happening, right?
Yeah.
So for me, page 42 winds up on page 42, and the words all make sense and coincide with the pictures. It's kind of like our DNA is the book of life, right? So I've seen a couple of videos about that. Like you have to start somewhere. How, to me, evidence is everywhere. Like in everything, different, in the mountains, in the trees, in the weather, in humans, and animals, every living thing has DNA. So yeah, that's kind of like when you get a lot of people just don't think about it. I think and I have talked with my students sometimes, and they bring up stuff knowing I'm a Christian. They'll ask me questions, and as long as they ask me, we can talk about it, right? And other students kind of chime in, and they'll say their 2 cents, and it always comes down to kind of the same old thing, like. But you get them thinking, and you see their wheels turning inside, and they're just like, "What? Yeah, I've never even thought about that. Like, I am pretty. Like, you're made perfectly. For the most part, we can see, we can hear, like all of these things, right? What did we evolve from, if that's what you believe?" So I feel the evidence is, I'm getting back to your question.
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere. Yeah, exactly.
Um, the blog, I was telling you about the blog before we sat down.
Yeah.
I put a photo in yesterday. And I went looking for a photo I knew I had
Yeah.
of sunrise on these hills, looking across the sagebrush over the river, sunrise on the hills.
Mm-hmm.
And I chose it because I think when you choose faith in your heart, it's like sunrise on the hills. It comes alive. Things come alive.
Yeah, it's true.
That's why I chose that picture. It makes things. The battery went dead, and changed the battery, and we talked a bit while I was doing that, and Darrell was talking about a book he really enjoys.
Yeah.
Tell me about the book. Tell us about the book.
It's my favorite book. It's called The Purpose-Driven Life by Rick Warren, Pastor Rick Warren. I've read it with groups of people, small groups of guys. I've read it with my family, my daughters. I've also read it by myself, and there's workbooks to go with it. But the premise is, the first sentence in the book is, it's not about you. And that for me is like, what is it about? And it's not about me. Like, I often tell my daughter all the time, I'm like, I think my biggest pet peeve, if I had a pet peeve, besides traffic in Northwest, would be selfishness. Like, I really don't like people who aren't aware. Even when you're driving or when just anywhere, right? Opening doors for people, those kind of things. Like, a selfish person, and I think about, and I give them the benefit of the doubt. Like, maybe something's going on in their life, or maybe that's how they were raised. But I want my daughters more than anything just to be aware, and I want them to know that it's not about them. They're here to serve and build relationships, right? And the Purpose-Driven Life, that book is like. Before I knew we were going to have this interview last night, I was laying in bed just to kind of get in the mindset of what we were going to talk about. I picked that book up and I went through it a little bit and jotted some things down in my notes.
Good, thank you.
Just to get and it brought me back to just that point. Like, what are we here for? What is my purpose? It's not about me. It's about the people.
Spreading peace and joy.
Yeah, peace and joy, exactly. Spreading peace and joy about the people that I come into contact with and connect with on a daily basis. So.
How old are your girls, and what are their names?
So Jersey Cruz Walker is 15. She's a sophomore at Arlington High School. And then 13, Finley Day Walker is 13. And I have a 4-year-old. I started over. My wife and I were like, it's either now or never. Finley Love Walker. So.
What is your 4-year-old's name?
Finley Walker. Or no, excuse me, Landry. Jeez. Landry Love.
13-year-old.
Finley Day Walker. I'm glad you caught me.
Yeah, I do remember it correctly.
I'm glad you caught me. Yeah, no, you're great. Finley Day Walker, and then Landry Love Walker. Yeah, thank you for correcting me. I'm gonna have to edit that one. But Landry, we started over with her. My 4-year-old, she's a little whippersnapper. She keeps all of us on our toes.
Good.
Yeah, it was totally God having our third, because our oldest daughters are so just like aware and loving and just like they're, I have 3 moms, I feel like sometimes, and Andrew's a little spoiled one, but she keeps us on our toes. She's awesome. So
good.
Yeah, 3 girls, all daughters, surrounded. I have 2 sisters. I have 3 daughters. Meant to be, right?
Yeah, meant to be for sure. How do you communicate faith and the importance of prayer to your girls, to your daughters?
The number one way is by my example. So we do devotions every night, pray with them. And then we're also making sure we pray throughout the day too. We drop them off at school, we pray before we get there. Just try to listen to Christian music. And try to have conversations that include God and just being a light and spreading joy and peace and hope. And our family motto is see a need, meet a need. Yeah. So if you see something, if you see someone with their arms full and they need help opening the door, get to that door, you make that happen. So you're always looking for opportunity to be a light and connect and build that relationship. And just maybe you'll get a chance to talk about your faith in one way or another, or be an example, right? Like something different about her. Yeah, exactly. And I'm reminded every day by people in my life, like, your daughters are different. They're, they care, they listen with their eyes and their ears. They're passionate about what they do, I think that's the number one compliment for this, and someone compliments my daughters on not the way they look, not how good of an athlete they are, just kind of person they are. Yeah. How they act and how they communicate. We talk a lot about communicating with adults and being present. Can I tell a quick story about my oldest?
Sure.
There's 30 girls in the Arlington basketball program. At the end of the day, it goes by after the class and 6th period, and her head coach is coming down the hall. Jersey! Yells at her. What do you think you're doing? She's like, oh, I'm in trouble. What's going on? He said, you haven't responded to my text. She's like, oh, I'm sorry, coach. Gets in her backpack and grabs her phone and pulls it out. She looks, and she's the only one that has responded of 30-some girls. And he's like, you know what? I'm totally kidding. He goes, I know you have that thing put away and you're at school, and it was about a uniform size or something that he needed to know to get the order in and stuff. And he's like, you're incredible, just because she's not responding to text messages at school and has her phone with her. I mean, that's my everyday all day as a teacher. I'm just constantly, put your phones away. Like, what are we doing? The amount of time we waste on our cell phones is crazy. 6 to 7 hours is average for most teenagers. And I'm just like blown away by that. But yeah, she opened the door real quick and responded to his text, and he just thought he got a kick out of that. He's like, oh my goodness. The whole day went by.
And you hadn't touched your phone?
You hadn't touched your phone. It was in your backpack. I was like, those are the kind of stories I'm like, yes. I'm doing a good job, right?
Mm-hmm. I'm sure you are.
Leaving a legacy. So my wife and I, we're super thankful and blessed for, to be able to do it right, I feel like.
I mentioned earlier that hitchhiking, I remember saying, my dad died when I was 16, and it was really hard on my mom. And yet, she kept the family together, kept the house, I was in my 30s before she told me she almost lost the house. That was really hard.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Jeez. But, in her darkest moments, her most discouraged times, she still had compassion.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
And I look back on that and think, oh man, you were leading by example.
For sure.
Through it all, you still could see other people had needs when you were struggling.
Oh, right.
And I am
good.
I am grateful for that example.
Yeah.
There's a purpose-driven life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's why I love this time of year, like Thanksgiving, Christmas. It's like, it always feels, and you don't realize it until you get older, but you always get that feeling like you're just talking about it's better to give than receive, receive a gift and it's like, this is awesome, this is cool. But when you give a gift and you pay for someone's coffee or you do something nice for someone, it's like that feeling like that's God never seen.
Reaching out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, are there other things you want to say about or ask about faith, prayer, or the next life? Anything from your notes that you made last time?
Yeah. I was looking here, and there's one thing that No, just, well, I think we've already talked about pretty much all of it, but yeah, it's just in that, I talked about the first sentence in the book. It says it's not about you.
It's not about you.
The quest for personal fulfillment, satisfaction, and meaning can only be found in understanding and doing what God placed you on earth to do. And it's to serve and connect and love each other, right? So, like He did. So, our purpose on earth is to love God, then show the same love He offers us to others so that they can come to know Him. God wants us to lead others to Him through our love for that. So, I would say that's it right there.
Okay. Well, I really appreciate you taking time to do this.
Yeah, thank you. This is
Enjoyed
an
it
opportunity.
a lot,
Yeah.
and appreciate you taking time, and hope to totally at your decision, discretion. Would love to sit down and have a conversation with your girls, or
Yeah.
with Abby, or with everybody.
Sure.
Even if it was all 5 of you together.
Yeah, I would love. Oh man, you would love all my 3 daughters are all different in their own ways, but they can all talk, and they'll answer your questions, and I would love to see it myself. Even coming here to meet, I was sharing with them. I was like, Mr. P was like, he was like the best. Like when you talk about your favorite teachers, your best teachers, like those people that it wasn't a paycheck, or and as teachers, it's not rarely about the paycheck, even though we're doing all right now for ourselves as teachers, we're paid wise. But yeah, I can list. I always say there's 5 teachers for me that that's why I came to school. That's why I was like not checked out. There's some classes I checked out, no question, but not yours. And it's funny, I'm a businessman now, so my first assignment, I remember you had us up there selling shoes, and we had this little checklist or script kind of, and fill in the words, and I was just like, man, I never thought that I'd be using it on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Right?
It's pervasive.
Right, yeah.
It is.
Just in human relationship, and communication is huge. Huge. It's number 1. So I say number 1, communicating is number 1, right? And you taught me that. You taught me how to listen. I can always remember, like anyone who was talking to you, you were just direct, like you were just very purposeful with everything you did. So I appreciated that.
Thank you.
The other one for me was Mr. Stokes, who was my football coach. Counselor, not my counselor, but one of the counselors. That guy always had a pep in his step, a smile on his face.
Oh, for sure he did.
He would make you feel, just in the 5 seconds you saw him, or 10 seconds you saw him in passing by, he made you feel like you were the best thing in the world. Yeah, you're important. And I was like, man, that's pretty cool, right?
Yeah. Excuse me, yeah.
Growing up, I always my dad is my hero because he led by example. He wasn't a man of words, but he was a man of action. I was like, that's all I'm gonna do. That's all I'm gonna be. So, yeah, I get emotional thinking about the depth of why I'm doing what I'm doing, and sometimes I complain to my wife. I'm like, my life is not my own. Like, I don't do anything for myself. But then would I choose to be doing anything else? And the answer oftentimes is no. Like, I'm coaching, I'm loving on my daughters and their friends and their teammates, and I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. When you think about, man, this is hard. Now I'm off to
go.
Yeah, constantly go.
Yeah.
And you have to make sure you're taking that time. I have 20 employees, that I'm developing relationships with. I'm trying to keep myself going, keep them going, staying positive. And I look at my businesses. I own espresso shops, and I have 20 employees. And in a school, the principal, you have teachers. You say happy teachers, happy students.
It's true.
Yeah, happy employees, happy customers. So when customers pull up, we want my baristas to bring a smile and good conversation and a good cup of coffee and be on your way. And that's the number one thing. We have quotes all over downstairs and signs that just say, hey, make it a great day. Like, you know, and that gets me back to your classmates again. It's like, welcome. I use your words, and I want you to say it again for me before I leave, so I can remember. But we always went into the weekend from your class on a Friday. You always said, make good decisions, take care of yourself, love yourself, love others. And I know you know it word for word, but one of the main things I do remember was saying that just about decisions. The decisions you make can affect the rest of your life. Like even the simple one, getting into a car with somebody who's been drinking or something like that. You're like, I care about you and I love you. Have a good weekend. It's just like, ugh, you left. You always left us. I was off to math after that, so I remember that. I'm like, oh, now I get to go to math. But anyway, thank you.
No, you're very welcome. It was a privilege. 36 years, I can hardly believe it was that long, but
let me have it.
Let me have what?
Right now. Your speech.
Well, it depends on where.
Yeah, that's
you
true.
want me to pick up, but I always counted the days of the school year.
Yep, you did. Yeah.
And when people would say, I still remember that this time of year would be about, if this was a school day, this would be about day 55, or 56, or 57, somewhere right in there. But after a while, sometimes kids or other adults will say, well, how do you know today is day 57? Because yesterday was 56.
Exactly.
How do you know? I said, well, I count. I make a point of owning my attitude.
Exactly.
I make a point of saying, when I put my hand on the door,
Love it.
day 56, whatever year it was, year 25, year 30, year 2, it's still a privilege. Act like it. And some days it was hard to act like it, but I needed to make the decision. I wanted to make the decision to say, I'm glad to be here, and I'm going to act like it. This is a privilege. So part of, at the end of the period on Fridays, I would say, whatever day it was, on the first day of the first year in my heart, I believed it was a privilege to be a teacher, and to say now, day 55, year 26, it's still a privilege. I believe it's a privilege for only one reason. You are the reason. You are the one and only reason. Sometimes it was just that much, and then, after that I would say, it's the weekend, please be good, drive your cars carefully, ride with people who drive carefully, treat yourself with respect, spend time with people who treat you with respect. I look forward to seeing you on Monday. Come back whole physically and emotionally.
Exactly.
I mean, this happened. Well, it happened several times. Sometimes a kid would come back to school on Monday, come in before school and say, I almost did something stupid, but I just remembered what I said and I didn't.
I bet.
What's that?
I bet that happened often.
Well, I was going to drink and drive, but I didn't. I said, well, thank you. You're here. You're
Right.
Exactly. It's good to see you. Thank you. Go make your first period teacher happy.
Yeah.
First period teacher's dying to see you. When I left, when I left the classroom in 2009, I left happy. I left incredibly grateful, deeply grateful, and just was ready to do something different before I was too old to do something.
Right.
I'd had a real estate license since I was a college kid. Excuse me, so.
Were you doing that also as you were teaching?
Yeah, for 10 summers, 84 through 93. Yeah, I never really talked about it much, if at all, at school.
Right. It wasn't like it is now either.
No, not at all. It's very different. But, bringing it back to prayer and faith in the next life and school, I never was willing to answer questions about, especially in front of a whole class.
Yeah.
If it was after school,
It's hard, yeah.
yeah, maybe, but if it's a public school, I'm not gonna answer any questions about those things.
Right.
But they were driving me, those things
Oh,
were
for sure,
driving me at my core, you know, my
Mhm.
faith, I remember this kid asking me about prayer, and I think, oh, coincidentally, I prayed for you today yesterday, because I saw how much you were struggling, but I'm not gonna tell you that.
Right.
I'm just gonna show support, show concern, show love. And
Exactly.
yeah, yeah.
It's good. Powerful.
Well, thank you so much
You bet. Thank you.
for taking time to do this.
You bet.
It's a pleasure, and look forward to doing it with the rest of your family.
I can help you.
Thank you.
You bet.
All right, sign off here.